Hello, little fish. Welcome to Org Lab's sprint review. We're going to start off by working on the retrospective in the island of Golacans. Nori.
All right, thanks. So this is a Miro board template that's available to all Miro boards. So if you just search for this, you can find it. Type in retrospective and it pops up as one of the options. And I like to use this because it's light, fun, doesn't seem too scary for most people, and it's a great way to get to the core of what we do in retrospectives. So it's kind of laid out into 4 different quadrants. One is the sweet fruits, what went well. So basically, you take a sticky, duplicate it, and then start typing something around what you think went well. And then move over to hidden gold, shout out to the team. So this is really recognizing people that you work with for stuff that they've done or things that you notice that you would just like to shout out, because it's really good to reinforce all the great stuff that we're doing and let people know that it's great. Third quadrant here is pirates on shore. So this is really to talk about what didn't go so well. What are some opportunities for improvement? And then finally, we're bridging over to the future. So this is the message in the bottle. And these are really, as we come up with ideas for action points for the future that we want to change, do differently, add, or even continue doing because it's really working well. This is the place to put that in. And generally, what I find a really good way to do it is to set off some quiet time for people to just start adding thoughts to these top 3 areas of sweet fruits, hidden gold, and pirates on the shore. And then as we have a conversation about these things, the message in the bottle will pop out of that conversation, and then somebody can just say, oh yeah, we should do this next time. And the goal is to populate this island through this meeting, and really to use the notes here to really surface what everybody thinks. So the first part is usually done silently, so people have time to just think and put stuff in, but we do it collaboratively so you can see what other people are doing, and that may trigger your own thoughts in similar lines, and you can add your own notes. So yeah, that's basically an overview of how the retrospective works.
All right.
And usually I find 15 minutes is a good time to get some thoughts down and put people to get some stuff in.
All right. I think then we're going to do like a 15-minute silent session. We can, I think, stop recording there and pick it up after we've gone through the top part and filled it in with a lot of detail. But before, any questions? All right, then we can go.
And is this like open, as in like, do we look at other people's, what they're putting and all of that, or do we do it separately? What is like a good way to go about it?
Yeah, you can look at what other people are putting down. That may help you go, oh yeah, and then you have a further thought to clarify, and you can put stuff in. And then generally so much stuff is generated here that you can't really talk about it all. So if that happens, another next step is to highlight the top section and then vote. And then everyone gets 5 or 10 votes or whatever. And the ones that score highest, we actually talk about.
Sweet.
Any other questions?
Would it be okay if I just observe you guys? Like if I open Miro and Zoom at the same time, my computer gets really messed up. So sorry for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For whatever reason, the Miro is just going super slow for me. I'm trying to close things down, but is that happening for others?
For me, I guess is my RAM. I have only 8 gigs of RAM, and that makes a problem, I guess. Because it's really sluggish.
Okay.
And this board is pretty heavy too. So
this is one of the less heavy boards in Littlefish, I'd say.
Oh, man.
All right. So let's take the next 15 minutes and put your thoughts down.
All right, let's do it. All right, guys. I think we've got quite a bit of things in there. How about we take a look? Anybody wants to share what they're feeling after taking a look? I'm going to share my screen just to have this all on YouTube as well.
We can go around to each section one by one and talk about what stands out, or we can vote. It's really pretty flexible.
Let's take a look at what went well. For me, the thing that popped out was the Ikigai survey work we did. We came together, and in a short time, we did like 4 workshops and worked well together. And workshopping really, I think it was pretty good at getting us to collaborate effectively together. And I'd just like to appreciate, like in the past month, we've become a community of action. We're producing quite a lot of things. So very grateful for that. So I think that's going really well. Any ideas on what went well, guys?
I put overall smooth. I'm new here. The sprints are going well. The collaboration you are doing seems quite polished. So I think you are doing a very good job in delivering stuff, which is impressive in a decentralized community.
Sweet. If nobody else wants to hop into this one, we can just go to Hidden Gold. Shout out to your team. I'd like to appreciate everybody's contributions in this past month. But pushing with the Catalyst Compass under, thank you. And the team working there, Newman, Harsha, you guys have been doing really well with the compass. We've got a lot of progress I saw. And the work on the source code doc was really impressive for me as well, because I want to deep dive into that as well. Thank you.
Great job to Jem and Chakan for representing at the summit. Been watching some of the videos, and you guys did a really good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I also think the workshop that that was conducted with Gimbal Labs was pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, the Gimbal Labs workshop I think was the best yet on the Ikigai front. More to come. All right.
I'm really grateful for Lucas because of his help with it's just facilitating collaboration is a big deal. That's what I found is that the motivation to work alone is very small compared to the motivation to be doing things when together with the second person at least.
I think that's a key insight we're all rediscovering and should be pushing on in this part.
Mhm.
It's just so much easier somehow to do things together.
Yeah.
So true. All right, let's come to the bad parts. The pirates. Who are these pirates that are causing us issues? I've got one. So we have the stand-ups channel where we post what we were doing, what we're gonna do next, and if we have any blockers. And we're not using it as much as we said we would be using it. So that seems to me one of the issues.
We didn't say we would be using it. We said we are making a channel. Whoever uses it, no?
We said we would be using it at least twice a week. So twice a week
Yeah.
we would be posting what we were doing, and then also we would be reading it and sending emojis saying, I read yours, I read yours. So we're not doing either of those.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I am just curious as to how much it has to do with like moving it down there. I really want to see, like, since you moved it down there, if we can compare the stats and see like if it's gone down or gone up.
oh,
Yeah, anybody sharing that sentiment? Is it about it being down?
well, basically what that makes me think of is like friction. Is there like friction to getting that documentation of saying, okay, here's my check-in? And immediately my brain thought, it was like, what if I could just put it in Obsidian, punch the button, you know, like then it becomes me focused. Like I am checking in for others, but I'm also checking in for myself. That the value of doing that is for me to say, okay, what did I finish last? Well, what did I, what am I working on next, and what were my blockers? Like just this idea, I'm getting into the habit of it. But what Harsha is saying is like maybe it's just there's a like it's not right and available to us. And I wonder if like as a part of a new system is that the check-in can be somewhere else. It's not like it's one of those things that's small.
So what I'm saying has no logical basis. So I'm just saying this could be a possibility. We'll have to figure it out.
Yeah.
It would be a cool test. I mean, it's verifiable fact, right?
It actually has a lot of logic to it. Like what is easier, like very simple mental tricks gets you there. Like if you add a bit of friction, your website is gonna get a lot less views, for example. Like even like half a second delay in your website loading, that's gonna bounce people off. So just adding that friction there will cause us to less likely to go there. So there's definitely something to discuss there. But the way I've thought about it when we created that Discord server is that we would just be hanging out down there anyway. So we wouldn't be scrolling up because, at the top there aren't that interesting stuff there, but I guess we are scrolling up as well.
No, because events is up there. So we have to like constantly
events
go
is
back up there for
right.
events.
Right. So that's
For
the
me-
only critical thing, right? Yeah.
Just making it more visible would help me to just remember for one and then jump. So maybe even a bot that at everyone's twice a week. And then you go, oh yeah, I need to check in or something like that. At least to build up the group habit kind of stuff might be useful. Or barring a bot, just make it an admin role that somebody twice a week goes, hey, at Org Labs or whatever group it is, do your weekly check-in. Because if I see a little red number 1 on my Discord, I'll go click on it. And that would trigger me to actually go like, oh yeah, I gotta do this. Because sometimes it's just a matter of forgetting.
Right.
Or the way I have Discord, all the channels are collapsed. So if there's nothing going on there, I may totally even just forget that that's a thing.
So, the visibility is an issue, and being reminded and forgetting. I really like the idea of a visual representation of the sprint. And actually, this is something that the C4C is doing pretty well, is that we have a good map of the sprint. And possibly that's something that might help, like for the visual channel, to have like, these are all the things, and the way I envision it. Anyway, the pirate that's stealing me is that it's just all this, it's just text and little chiclets. Like I'd love to have like the visual. I just jumped into solution already. The pirate is that I'm forgetting stuff. That's what it is.
And
Yeah.
what is this visual map you guys have at C4C?
Can I share my
Take a look
screen
at
really
this.
quick and I can take you through it?
Yeah, please
Yeah.
do.
Okay, so we created a Miro board and we've had 2 sprints here so far, but this is our current one. And it's also based on kind of the lunar sprint kind of concept, but we put some reminders on how this works. It's select the core roles for the week of sprint planning, commitment for these 2 weeks, use tag and names to assign roles, use the goal column to identify 3 sprint goals. So one of the big things we do is we say, what are the top 3 things we want to get done over the next 2 weeks? And then below that, we start to fill out kind of what we're going to do. And then we assign names to the tags to who's going to do it. And then the big thing at C4C is it's all about community meetings and planning and stuff. So a big role of this is like, today we sat down and said, okay, for next week, for week 2, who's going to facilitate meetings, who's going to be scribe admin, and do all that. So it was a role assigning as well. But this is really like the key piece is the goals and what are we going to do and working that out. And then it's a kind of a visual map of our sprint. Because yeah, I also like this because I find D-work really hard to look at and understand holistically what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
that's
In a way
Could
that
be
you
half.
don't get from like just looking at D-work.
yeah, it's D-work seems very rigid and it's hard to pick out themes or epics or things like that easily. Tools like Jira and things like that make it a lot easier if you've ever used those tools. But D-work is a little bit too simple for when you have a bunch of people working on a bunch of stuff. You just see a wall of tasks and it's really hard to see the greater pattern or mosaic that should be forming based on that. And the Miro board kind of replicates, like when I was at Amazon, we had a physical whiteboard that we put tape up and created these boxes, and then we had actual physical sticky notes up there kind of like this, and then we would move them. So the only difference there was we actually had the backlog, doing, done, and a blocked box, and we could move stickies like that.
Yeah.
What I think can be used in D-work is to create dummy tasks and give them tags so they really stand out. And they can be on the top of every list, every sprint. If the sprint is done relatively concise, so you do not have too many tasks, it still can be relatively reasonable to read. So you can have these goals you have for that sprint in every sprint, in to do like the first 3 things, and even every task can have a little like beginning, which would note it back to these 3 goals. So yeah, it's not ideal. I agree. D-work is not perfect for that, but this is kind of workaround I tend to use.
So a dummy task that sort of frames it.
Okay. Let me share my screen just.
Oh, that'd be
quick.
great. I would love to, because I think, yeah, while you're getting set up, the because D-work is something new for most folks. It's new for me. And so learning how to organize it, and you did a good job about like creating the in the Catalyst compass, I'm looking down, it's like sprint 1, sprint 2. The sprint name had like a theme, awareness, and outreach, and like you've done a good job as far as someone that's using it. So it would be great if you gave us a little explanation of how you organize in it.
Okay, so in here I'm doing something a bit different. I'm trying to set up that epics for the whole activity. So it's Catalyst Compass, and the first epic is discovery. And discovery means basically learning new stuff and adjusting as we go, so we do not miss some big opportunities which are around us. First Compass is just creating this like first product which we can start to experiment with, and this is maturing the thing. So it's very simplistic view of epics. That's not important. The important thing is if you look into the individual sprints, then you could, in theory, create a dummy task here, and you could say this is a goal 1, and you would give it the tag and say it is a goal, and you would create it here. So I would have the goal here, and at the rate I would have goal 2, goal 3, and everything else would be tasks. And you could say the goal 1 has a shortcut, so it would be G1, for example. Put it into brackets. It doesn't have to be like this, obviously, but just an example. And then here I would say product assessment actually is part of G1. So everyone who works on that knows it's part of G1. Something like that. Just an idea. It's not necessarily have to be like that.
Yeah, I like that. I think picking 2 or 3 goals for each sprint is really, it helps focus so that you're not doing it, because like Harry said, he's got an aircraft sized carrier to do things. You can't possibly get them all done. So saying these are our goals allows you to kind of filter out a lot and focus on those things critical to get those goals done. And then it also allows people to allow for some accountability and challenge things like we're doing this, but it's not really one of our goals. Should we do that next week and make that a goal? And it provides that structure for that kind of conversation to happen rather than allowing ourselves to get really diffuse and not accomplish a whole bunch.
So here's and those are great points. Here's a question, and what do we feel about naming conventions? Because when I was a kid and I went to the university computer lab and saw those geeky, beautiful people there, I figured these are the guys that are using naming conventions like strictly, like that they all spoke the same language and that they use like these things, and in that sort of structured data. If it's sort of like my conformant. I mean, I get the thing. Like I have like a real strong conformist streak, but I would love to see naming conventions. Like the sprint and the sprint task. So when you reference the sprint, you can very quickly say it's 3.165, and that it's sprint 3, and it's like the librarian in me. But these things are horrible. I also know that they are horrible. But are they a horrible thing that we want to use? Or what are your thoughts on all that stuff? Because yeah.
I think there's a good
If I
healthy
understood
amount.
right, Newman,
Yeah.
You are making a comparison like developers giving name to variables, right?
I guess so. Yeah. Or like when they work in a lab, like all of the files are named in a way that you can look immediately at a file and know where it was supposed to be. And
I got a website that helps me for that. I'm putting it on the chat. Maybe
Nice.
I'm not sure, but if you are saying what you think like what I think you are saying, then this may help. How to name things.
Okay, cool. Thanks, man.
So where do you think we're lacking in naming conventions, Newman? And what's the main pain point that we can tackle with it?
That like I don't know what other like in the check-ins, like I don't know where everyone else is, and I guess it's, which maybe is not a big, like maybe I don't need to know what others are doing, or that when I want to find something for myself, because I started using this naming convention because the tasks that I'm working on have an ID and they are part of a sprint. So it's cool for me to just look and find out. But if I want to work with others or sort of see the big picture, I don't get that feeling of like, oh look, here are all the tasks that are being done. I guess it has something to do with like structured data, you know, and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So
We use stuff like our sprints were 1 week long. So our sprints were week numbers. So sprint 1 was always the first week of the year. And you know that sprint 52 would be like the last week of the year. So you can kind of gauge that. And we also had I just put a projects, we had epics. And then, so you could kind of see where everything fit in this kind of structure of what we're working on. But I think, yeah, having some kind of consistent naming convention would make it really easy or easier to identify things and where they go and how to create names of things.
I think it might be beneficial is when you are referencing somewhere else. So for example, if you are writing those things into action, it would be easier to see what things are task related and what things are not task related, which can be interesting when but I don't for me, I don't necessarily know if it is good to have a task for your action or not. Is it? And if it is, then it is probably reasonable to have some naming convention. If it is not, then
Right.
it is good thing once it finds its purpose. The first time the purpose is there, I think it's good to start with it.
I guess that's yeah. Because it's really important to sort of think about it in terms of my pain point, you know, from my perspective. Like I want to feel like my work is aligned and in concert in that sort of many pieces loosely joined or emergent, you know, little fish style. And so my pain point is that I don't know if I'm aligned or if it's more difficult to find alignment. But the alignment is there in the form of the proposal, the module, the house, you know, the other organizational structure. And if we can just get, I guess that's what, yeah. But that's my pain point. And then there's things about like what we can do to sort of alleviate that, because we have all the building blocks in place, meaning the proposals, the modules. I was just praising the spreadsheet of milestones. Like that, I think is fundamental to any organization. You know, if you're going to be an organization, having this breakdown and a very visible, accessible chart helps me as a member of the organization and helps a new person and people from outside, like how they can contribute.
key thing I'm getting there is like, how do I know the thing I'm doing is aligned to what we should be doing in the short to midterm within the sprint and more generally, like within the proposal, within the module? Are we on track? Am I doing something that is a duplicate of somebody else? Like or should I be working with someone that can help me out? Those types of questions can all be, we can work on all of that by giving a bit more visibility to the higher levels of why we're doing what we're doing. Am I getting to the?
I think so. Yeah. And I mean, I wonder about, I've started reading that Emergent Strategies book, and I wondered about like, you think of like a sprint as like a migration. It's just like, okay, here we are as a group and we're going to go to another group. But it's not like a big bird shows up and says, okay, we're going to start migrating. You know, it's like they just start, they follow an innate thing, although it could be a big bird thing. I don't know. I'm totally making that up. I don't know anything about bird culture. But the idea is that I work individually, but that the right amount of structure, the right amount of communication, and that alignment is the thing, because it's like, oh, I know that, you know, we're at this part in the sprint. The big progress bar in the sky. You know, we know by looking up at the moon, that this is where we are in our task, or we know by the year, like, okay, if we're working on weeks, we know that we were this far along in the year. There's certain relationship to the organization, so that then I can find my place. It's about like sensing and being in relationship, and to roll back, it's like having a consistent sort of alignment or wording, or just some way I can find my place in the, to use the little fish, like in the reef, or in the movement that we're doing. And I'm sorry if it's super clear. It's not really clear myself, but I'm trying to.
I think we're getting that. We should be making it more clear. The goals idea is one we can chase, making it more visible in Miro or another place. How what I'm doing right now fits into the bigger piece. Maybe we should work on that. We can do stuff on Miro for that. We can do stuff on D-Work for that, and we can do experiment with a lot of things on that. I have a few ideas that I want to chase, like this is falling in line with what I was planning to do anyway. So I'm going to try something for next week, but we can also figure stuff out. Any other concerns? Any other pirates that you guys have identified you want to talk about, discuss? And then maybe, yeah, what do we do after discussing Nori? Do we take a vote and select a few to push through? Let's do these changes.
Usually I see people are creating like action points for the future as we go, so that's great. If there's any other pirates on the shore that we want to talk about, we can bring them up. If there's too many, voting is a great way to narrow them down. And then one good thing that I like to do is any of these action points for the future should have somebody willing to champion it or do something with it, rather than just leaving it as a thing. And it could be creating a D-Work task to explore it further, or someone can say, I'm going to do something about that, and you can assign their name right away.
What about the connection between activity and rewards?
What about it? Is there a pirate sticky about that?
Well, there's a few different things up there that are on that theme. Where money?
Like, what's my reward for stand-ups?
Yeah.
Where money was me, and to be honest, it was nicely answered by what Newman was saying, because for me it was a provocative way how to say the big picture, where the things which are in the work do fit in what really helps the organization, which is Little Fish, to eventually become successful. And yeah, so it's really important for me when I'm looking at the individual tasks to have some kind of idea what is things which are like short term, long term, how does it fit together. It's very difficult to produce this kind of information, but it would be really nice to have it. Yeah, because when you just jump in, there's a lot of stuff, actually a lot of stuff, and it's hard to see where things are going. But it works without it, because you have the urgent tasks, the high priority tasks, so you have an idea what to work on. It's not a big deal. It's just nice.
Andrew, so this connects both to like, am I doing this task just because it's in the proposal, or am I doing this task to make this a sustainable thing? Does that also map out to your question? It's like, are we just doing this to get the proposal statement of milestones done, or does this serve a bigger purpose? Those kinds of questions come into play with this. Is that in the right area?
Yes.
What you're asking?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
And yeah, go ahead, Randall.
well, there's all that, and when there's a task in like at hand, and like say you've already got 4 hours of effort in, the question starts to arise: is this going to be rewarded like I've been dedicating time, and how much more time should I dedicate? Where's the connection between the effort and the expectation of a on the one hand a payoff, but then organizationally the payoff of value created?
Yeah. So
All those things
this
come together for me.
this is a question that's on my mind that I want to just get off my mind. I want to find a good solution to this problem, because at the moment the solution is me just guesstimating what everybody did, and that's a poor guesstimate.
Yeah.
Like nobody can do a good job on what they didn't do, even if like I can't even guesstimate how many hours I've spent on something. Like it's a bad way to do things. So I'm open to suggestions on how to make this any better. I want to create a system that is rules-based, that leaves minimal and hopefully even like no room for guessing. Like it should just be rules-based, or it should at least give a solid understanding of, I did this, I'm gonna get somewhere between X and Y, at least. So how do we move from here to there is definitely like on my mind. I have a few things that I want to write up and then propose to the community. But if anybody has any ideas on what we can do to get there, I'm all ears. Definitely want to move there, because it sucks. Like I don't want to do that. It's like it's the worst time
Yeah.
of the month for me to just do that.
Yeah.
Like
One
I
thing
hate
I've done in the past is during story gathering, you use the group oracle to do an estimate of what a task is in complexity, size, cost, and then talk about why, and then the group settles and say, this is a 5. And then if you complete it, then you've got 5 story points under your belt. Somebody who's super good, they're one of those 10x developers, can probably do it in an hour, but it's still a 5 because they brought their expertise to bear and got it done. Somebody who is just starting, it could take them 10, but they still get rewarded 5, even though it took them 10, but their reward is they start to learn, they jump in as a learning opportunity and a skill up, and they may partner with somebody to figure that out. But it's one way to get the group oracle kind of assigning value up front, and then people can choose whether they want to use it as a learning experience or they're really good at it or whatever. And because the outcome should be the same regardless of how much time somebody puts in, because of the conditions of satisfaction. And then people start to find that balance, like this is what's sustainable for me over the week.
So here, I would imagine the best like solutions would have us not thinking about this, and it should just be you're just gonna get what you're gonna get, and you know from the beginning what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
One thing that came up to me like before was like you set your commitments beforehand. Let's say I'm gonna do 20 hours this month, and I'm gonna work on X, Y, Z, and you could maybe propose I want this amount to come with it, and then we go through an advice process, and then we say okay, that works, and then we see after a month what you have produced in relation to what you've said, what you've committed to, and then we can go through that process again and iterate. And then since we're doing that all together, we have a base to compare as well. And since it's all out in the open, there is a lot less conflict around that, I guess. But it's just one method, and it still includes like every month we got to come back and say, oh, you did this, you didn't do that. Like, that doesn't quite work. And also, since we're an open community, we also have to consider something like this random new person just came in. How do we know they're aligned and just are going to work well with us? We don't quite know that. So It also needs
And
to account for that and many other complexities as well.
yeah, and also like I was talking with like the folk at Conma, they also wanted to know how an organization can come and start taking up activities as an organization rather than like an individual and like do it, you know.
Yeah, little fish, you mean?
Yeah,
Oh, all right.
like if Conma had to be like a colony and like take up actions and do it as a colony of little fish.
I'm thinking one more extra thing. The system, whatever it is, should motivate people to take their
Yeah.
own actions, which generate extra opportunities for little fish. You know, it needs to be externals focused, because it would be it's risky if you create this system of rewards which is kind of internal and does not reflect what is happening outside. So we need to motivate as many little fishes to create these opportunities for you to get like more power, be the bigger ocean. So stupid associations, but I guess you get the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something in the analysis of source cred that feels like it leads to that point that you made, Under. There was a whole lot of action where people are like, yeah, that person's doing something and it's good that they're doing it, but is it adding value? This is a question.
So how about I'm going to design a workshop to get us thinking about this, because we have some great minds that I think we can solve this problem. But first, what we should do is we should go back to SourceCred and really read and learn about it, all of us who wants to work on this workshop, to get all those lessons in our head so that we don't make those same mistakes when thinking about them, because I bet there's so many easy mistakes that we could do here.
Yeah. Also, since Little Fish is trying to espouse teal values, look at things like source cred and say, is this actually an orange system? And if it is, like, what would teal look like? And look at other organizations. Like, I like what Chakan said earlier about people saying, this is my commitment, this is what I need, and this is what I hope to produce, and then some kind of review. That's getting into that teal space. And so just looking at those, like looking at other companies and other teal organizations, how do they do compensation and rewards and things? And I think we are kind of exploring a new space because we're not a company with somebody like with a bunch of income and revenue. It's more of a decentralized organization, a network kind of community. And that is a new space. So I think it'll be really fun to kind of lean into that and figure out and experiment too, because I think we should try stuff, see how it goes, and then evolve it or change it or whatever as we learn.
Yeah. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Harsh.
and I also think it'd be a good way to go if whenever someone does a bounty and whatever gets paid, get a feedback on if they thought it was like fair for like the amount of work they put in. Just a review. I'm not saying you need to change it's not an agreement, just to get a feedback loop. If it's like a constant feedback loop where people feel like they need to get paid more, then we know that something is taking more effort than we expected it to be. So this for bounties, that is. We could just like put in notes in the dework bounty, which we're doing. No, because
we could do,
by
like,
the end of the day,
anonymously.
payment, yeah. But I'm just saying, because in most cases, by the end of the day, payment is a matter of negotiation. People who can negotiate get better deals. But for me, that feels a little unfair, only because it should depend on the amount of work that is done and the action itself rather than your negotiation skills, I think. So
Yeah, that's a good point. And I like the idea of like a two-tiered or like a inside outside a hybrid model where I'm very curious about this sort of the Chakan and Nori sort of explained about sort of setting your intention, saying, and then making a commitment. That commitment has like real value because it matches intention and commitment and action. So you get this alignment and say, okay, for the next week, I'm going to do this, and it's what I want to do, and it's not being forced on me, and that I feel motivated to do it. But then you do your work. If you get to the end of it and you're like, oh, I was only able to do 75% of the tasks, and that you feel comfortable or honest enough to say that, and then work with it. So that's your personal thing. But then the organization says, hey, well, that 75% was worth more than we thought. So here's that part. So it kind of layers in. So it's not all in one. It's kind of a way to balance out that sort of thing. Because there may be people that are very good about making the negotiation, like what you're saying, Harsha, about saying, oh, I can, either they have the right vision or they're aligned in a right way to make the most impact. Somebody may be super aligned and very motivated, but then it's not really, the goal of this time, of this sprint. And then that can, so yeah, the idea of a workshop to kind of understand like what these new emergent sort of areas, like the source code, I think that would be a great workshop. And then to like really workshop them, to get the field experience of like, going through how that went down would be really beneficial. And it would help shorten the iteration cycle so that we don't go through and just repeat the same mistakes. But all that is to say that I think that we have to be able to be honest with ourselves and with each other, and being honest with ourselves and each other around money is very, very difficult for me personally. I can't speak for everybody else, but it's extremely difficult. There's so much baggage, so much weird psychology around money. And that I feel like I'm a little bit out because I've got this weirdness with it, and I feel like other people don't, or they've let their weirdness, be like, well, I'm just get all the money or whatever. So something that helps us get to that, to where we all can participate, or is more inclusive, or is broken in another interesting way, and we'll fix it in the next epoch.
That's so true. We're used to not like money is a taboo. I'm not sure if it is in the US and Canada. Like in here, in most companies, what they do is they make you sign an NDA, so you can't even talk about money, how much you're earning. But the thing is, if you do talk about money, how much you're earning, especially with your coworkers, that allows that knowledge allows everybody to actually get the money that they should be getting. So there's a complete taboo that I guess all of us are kind of grown into. Kind of rediscovering what that means here, like kind of breaking those taboos, and it is uncomfortable.
I've got a story about taboo and money. We have a moment for person. Oh man, we're way over time. Okay, I'm not gonna story.
I have a quick suggestion. If only we could synthesize like the data we get after each sprint. Okay, these many tasks were taken and these many were completed. This was the happiness quotient, whatever it is, like those kind of things. And then we compare it from sprint to sprint. Maybe we can see if like we can better the stats, if that makes sense.
So Harsha, what you're saying is that after the sprint, during the review, we kind of get like a happiness quotient. We take a measure of what, I guess that's what we're doing now, right?
Yeah. So, but synthesized. Like for example, I want to look at it and see like numbers. Like for example, we saw the map, right? The Pirate Bay map. But like synthesized, like make it easy. I want to look at it and understand it in like I don't know, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 5
Maybe we can evolve action stories into something like that, where you're just we have a good standard on this is what I did, and then I can put it next to someone else's and see, oh, this is what they did, and they'll be easier to compare. I don't know if it'll give you numbers, but it may give you like an easy to compare thing that maybe you can devise. Andre.
I really would like to produce numbers based on Catalyst Compass and what was being produced there, because I think it would be reasonable. There was a lot of like effort put in. We measured what different people did, and I would like to visualize that. So it's not
think there it
just
works
the
quite well.
participation, and we can work with it. We can see. I really wanted to do that anyways. And I think it would be a good idea to have like a role which is responsible for something like that. Around there, I'm kind of filling there the role as product owner. So I think maybe that is part of that role at that point. But yeah, let's discuss something like that. I think it's
Yeah, and
interesting to
also
go
if you
forward.
need help with that, like you could just put in a bounty saying, I need help for this role. One of us can come join, help you out with it. Well, if you
I
need
think
help.
the biggest help would be what Nori mentioned in the beginning of the sprint. You can use the oracle of the community to decide how difficult are different tasks, and then you can just, it's really simple after that.
So with how does the oracle of the community work? Like, so we have to consent on what it would be, right? By the end of the day, how much it would be paid for a specific bounty, right?
Let's talk about it another time, and we can take this as one of the possible methods in the future for the workshop Chukan is planning. But
We did the Oracle process once with C4C. And it seemed, yeah, I mean, yeah, it was good because it made us think about each task and how valuable or how difficult it was. So that was worthwhile.
There are
The
some
primary
issues with
benefit of the Oracle process is to get everybody on the same page. Like if somebody says it's a 1 and someone else goes it's a 10, there's clearly a misunderstanding of expectations or scope or something. And if you can get a line there, then I think that in itself is super valuable.
And I think, as I recall, Nori, a lot of times it was what the perception, like of what the actual task was, and then it was like, let's clarify what this is and what isn't a part of the task. So that has a super value, like because the more clear we can be on the task, like that's a really good one.
Yeah, it helps to clarify the conditions of satisfaction and stuff.
Yeah.
What I've
And
seen as a real risk on that point poker sort of a process is when outliers are just tossed on the basis of we've got to get through this, and then basically you get this average result, which is not actually representing the aggregate point of view. And that, like, the alignment of finding what actually is or should be can take a lot of time.
It's not a
Yeah,
quick
one
process
thing-
by any means because of the conversations that happen.
Right.
And
this
also
only covers
like
the sprints, which aren't everything. Like sprints just contain a very small part of what we do. But let's focus
And
on like how to fix payments next week. Go ahead, Harsha, and then let's shift to.
no, I just had
and
something about that
make a few
itself. So
decisions.
if you're doing it next week, I'll keep it for next week.
How about you type it into Discord so you don't forget it, and then we can talk about that in the workshop. Nice. But any other issues? Any other pirates? If not, we're going to go to the final stage, which is what should we focus on doing next. We came up with quite a bit of things.
The solution Coconut Grove.
Okay, gonna give 5 seconds if anybody wants
Solution
to say
Island.
anything about more pirates. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Oh man, I'm moving the map. I'm
solution.
sorry. Wait a minute. There we go.
Just... All right. Let's see. So how about we go about it and talk about the solutions that we came up with and add any other that we missed, and then maybe we can do a vote on what we should be doing. And I think one thing that's going to bring us more clarity on the sprint level was the system Andre was proposing, this one. I think we should do this. Super easy to do, and it gets us aligned very easily. Sets up the goals. I think workshops are awesome. We should do more workshops. We didn't talk about this, but I think this is a no-brainer. Like we should work 3 to 5 minutes for each demo to give everybody a chance to demo on the demo days.
I think that was me. I might have rambled a bit on my demo.
I think because we're not doing timed ones, the goal of us are kind of shifting. Murat's one of the first one, it took us 20 minutes.
Right.
And if people know ahead of time that they have 3 to 5 minutes, they can think about how to do it concisely rather than a more broad, deep thing.
Yeah. Is there anything we're gonna do?
Oh, and one thing, just as one thing is that that I found because I'm trying to think, well, why did I ramble so much? It's really good, even if you just have a few minutes, just to record yourself giving your demo, and and then you can see what time it is. And if you do the recording, just having the recording was basically like talking to a friend. You can really, it changes the way you present it and what you want to say, and it can help you do it. And if you do it 2 or 3 times over, and it just takes 15 minutes, then you're golden, or it's a good tip.
Wait, you guys practice presentations before presenting?
Yeah,
Depends on the presentation, but yeah.
I do.
You just wing it?
Yeah.
No.
I heard that somebody was just like, just say it just while you're in your making coffee or doing your tasks, just sort of record it, and especially if you've got the the device, your phone or whatever, it really does make and then you kind of find yourself saying it. Yeah, I never actually go back and listen to the recording, but it tells me the time, and it's just enough of another person there, which is just me, the possibility of me in the future listening back to it, is enough to like give that pressure of presenting. Yeah.
So one thing Nori said beforehand was we come up with this stage with action items and then set up who's responsible for what. So I found this one. I'm going to check this one out and see if there's a bot we can use and then add it in. I'll also take this one as the product owner for all the mostly sprints. Anything else? How do we work on this together? I think this is one thing that we can do together more. That's going to get us all enjoying life more. Just getting all of us to spend more time together, working and chatting.
Just in that point, the Catalyst Compass and Map sessions have been really fun, because basically we have this, it's like a work set. It's not a meeting where we discuss, it's a meeting where we get together, we set a little, a timer, we work, and then we have it's I don't know what, 80-20, work to discuss ratio, and that's a nice way to feel connected, and that you spend the time doing the task as opposed to like getting ready to do the task.
Yeah, it's kind of like the whole sprint, compressed into like an hour and a half, because we work for 45 minutes, do the stand-up for 5 minutes, and like speak about blockers, go back to working for 45 minutes, and then come back for 5 more minutes. so that's what we have been doing. So yeah.
So how do
I would
we?
say, sorry, go ahead, Jurkan.
Oh no, you go ahead, Curtis.
I was just gonna say
Okay.
there is, I agree. I like that model. But there it is, if you were to scale asynchronous, right, it would be less asynchronous because you're having to block out that time to work on it right then versus, okay, I know what my task is and I can do it whenever I have availability.
Yeah.
But it's more productive generally because of that. So it's a
I
give and a
think
take. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that is the trade-off. I think it works for Harsha and I because it's like if there's for me, because if it's not on the schedule, it gets sort of pushed back and back. But if it is on the schedule, and I know because I love working with other people and I love like the sound of other keyboards going, it just helps me. It just kind of, it's like I draft in a team, you know,
Yeah, it's like working in a coffee shop, like
Yeah,
just having
it's got that
people around like gives you a kick. Yeah.
Yeah, little kick. Yeah, a little, and then you know, it's just like I do come across blockers. Like even though it was kind of a pain, but we got over this spreadsheet, you know, like how to collect the data, and you know, and yeah, it was an interesting case study in itself, but we were able to get over it. It did take a lot of effort on Andre's part to sort of like pull things back in, but made the decision, and now we're in a spreadsheet, which should be better.
Maybe as a group cultural thing, we can pick some place like a Discord audio channel or something, and then have a place where we go, I'm hopping in to work on X, and so that there isn't a fixed time necessarily. There could be fixed times as well, but we're all in different time zones, and often my most productive things are when Europe is sleeping. So I can see myself just hopping on and saying, hey, I'm going to start working on this. And then if anyone else is around, you can just get that group kind of share. Or even if you're just going for a walk and want to connect with community, you could like plug into the voice channel, go for a walk and see if anybody else hops in.
Yeah.
I've seen, so what Nori just said, I've seen some Discord servers where, you know, they have their moderators and they have their roles of people actually doing work. And that was a form of tracking their timesheet in a sense. Not that we need that level, but just saying that it captures, I was in this room for an hour and I was working on something while I was there. Other people can join, but it's a metric that says, here's how much time you spent in that channel.
So that just as if when you see like there needs to be like a flag, and sometimes Randall's here, like, or and Nori, I've seen it where like you're on Discord, your chiclet has like a little like no entry, like a little circle with a cross through it. What does that mean? In this sense of this is when I'm sitting in an open room, that means that I'm open to like chatting and talking, and it's non-focused time. But sometimes, and I use that, the open office is sort of like that sort of thought, or that in that area. And I used to work on a like focus. I'm like, oh, I need to get stuff done. So I go to the office, but then people will show up and I'm like, you know, but the open office is for collaborative work and sort of working with people that come. But I could see where it would be confusing. It's like, are you sitting in there to like do focus work on something, a task, or are you there to like meet and hang out and visit with people? That's part of that alignment thing.
Yeah, I can show that feature. It's basically, you can go and click on your profile, and then there's this online, and you can say, I'm idle, do not disturb. And that basically just says, I'm working, don't send me messages, and it blocks notifications and stuff. But
okay, so like if I've got something to send to you and I see that, should I not send it, or does that mean that you won't get it? I know that you won't get it.
Yeah, you can send it and it won't
ping you.
Unless I have settings set to override that. But yeah, that's what I use that for. But it's also, I've also had that on for the last month and a half. I forgot that it was on.
I was like,
So-
man, Nori is super focused. He's just always in do not disturb. Okay, cool.
You just reminded me of it, so thank you for
No, there you
reminding
go.
me to start
Yeah.
bridging. Yeah.
And I see Randall has that. Does everybody use that? And that's one of those naming conventions. It's like a cultural thing. It's like, hey, in this family, we eat the blah, 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 or something, it's like in this group, we use those little chiclets. Like, I know that it means something. And it's sort of like when I name a document, like I put the date in that programmer format, year, month, day, so that it can be sorted properly with a zero, for, the single digits. Yeah.
Just to get back to what I said, you can actually set custom status and you can clear it after whatever. Say, I'm going to be doing this for the next hour.
Oh.
And then my status is, yeah, I'm online or do not disturb. And then you save and then boom. That's set for me now. Bacon bread.
Nice. Okay. See, I would love to have a little app that's not Discord, but would be its own executable that I could set those things and then it would broadcast out to everybody, and so that I didn't have to like put it in Telegram, Discord, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah. I definitely will use that.
So if there was a way, we could say, I'm going into work mode. Anybody wants to hop into, join me, help me out. But that message only goes to the people who want to do that.
Right.
So that we
right.
don't
Like
spam.
We could have that kind of a role on Discord. Anybody wants to opt in, and then you go at whoever, and then it would.
Worker focus collective focusers.
Something.
It almost sounds like what we're talking about is specifically cases where like we're doing work on projects that are part of the sprint, and we want to invite those people that are expected to be collaborating on that project to know that we're going and focusing on that project.
Mhm.
And
then
anybody who's not interested in that project or active in that project doesn't have to be bothered by it, but can see it if they already like opted in to being part of that. Standardizing a little bit from some of the other notes that we took.
Mm-hmm. That would be a really great thing. I can see another way of doing it, which is coffee shop mode. You don't care what people are working on. You just want to hang out because it makes you more productive to be with people.
Yeah.
I think that, Wayne, is first what we want to hit. And as we scale more and more, it's going to be more focused on the projects, because the coffee shop mode also allows people who are not connecting to connect. And that's going to lead to more beautiful things happening. If it's just project focused, it's going to be less of that.
Yeah. And this is the thing. And like I want to connect, but I also want to get work done. I mean, I want to connect and so maybe like and I don't know how, I guess you just establish it just as the way normal culture is, like in a coffee shop. Like if I saw someone working in a coffee shop, there would be like clues. It's like, okay, I get up, I chat, but then I'm here to work, right? Or like that's my one fear, I suppose. But there would, like if you're in the coffee shop, but you've got your do not disturb on. I don't know. I love working this out because the culture will develop it, and I know now that you all are all thinking of it in the same way, that it is a shared value, like it's a shared like.
I don't think we should push it as a value, because like we should respect the introverts who want to work by themselves also. This is just something like to make friends. Like if you want to hang out, come hang out and work. Otherwise, you can work at home.
Yeah. Value might not be the best term, but the shared sort of like desire for working together and somehow like collaborating, like signaling that you want to collaborate. When you go to the coffee shop, you are signaling that you want to be in social, but be working on stuff. Or this idea of like trying to ping other folks. It's just like, yeah, here I am, I'm working on this task, and I know that my work group is open or available, as opposed to just a single thing, like trying to coordinate. Like, I don't want to do a lettuce meet. I just want you to know that I worked on this, and or doing the time recording. So in Randall Harsha and our DAO tools goals document, we kept like a little bit of like, oh, we worked on it from this time and this time, just to sort of get a sense of what we're doing. But that could be a part of some other system, some other naming convention, some other process. Yeah.
Andre, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I just wrote it. There is a guy in Catalyst Compass. He was working quite a lot, and he was on none of the meetings. He's one of the bigger contributors.
Yeah,
That's Malik, right? We have no idea who that is.
Nobody ever saw him.
Never seen
but he's there, and he was able to contribute. So I was thinking the coffee shop idea is great for the like Little Fish organizational level, and maybe some smaller teams should have some templates for what to use, but it is about the culture in those teams to make the people working there comfortable, to see if they can work together, hang out on concrete tasks.
A template.
Template can be just use a coffee shop as a team in a time, for example. Very simple template. And at the beginning of a sprint, just arrange several times, which will be good for you during this sprint to collaborate.
Right.
All right. Okay, let's circle back.
Yeah.
All right, so these are the things up on our board. I'm gonna get all this done, and I think these are things that we want to hit. But coming in, like if we want to implement this, we probably need to. Like, I'm not sure how we implement it, other than let's just spend more time together. I'm gonna hop in and I'm gonna ping everyone. Maybe we can set up a Discord rule and try that.
Yeah, the coffee shop goers. Yeah, coffee that you don't mind getting pinged when somebody wants to work. Coffee. And it's just like, yeah, I don't mind. I'm mostly it's muted anyway. But maybe there's a way to just say, yeah, that's not going to bother me if I get a note that says Randall wants to work or Nori is working on something. That would be, yeah, I'd be, and that could be, that's an easy fix, right? It's just make a roll and then we just.
Super easy.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, so these are what we're going to be doing, and this one, and I think all of us should focus on how do we get this done, just by pinging the coffee shop, and also trying to just keep this in mind and getting others involved when we're working. And Andre, you're picking up this one for the Catalyst Compass sprints.
I guess it will be, yeah, exactly. It's a team effort, but just for the Catalyst Compass, I will do that as an experiment.
Okay, let's see. All right. I think this was a very good sprint. We're about 95 minutes in, so mindful of the time. Yeah. Mindful 35 minutes over time. But I guess we need to be changing the meetings to like 90 or
90 minutes. Yeah.
At this point, they're 90 minutes. I think that's okay.
So this started 90 minutes ago?
It started 90 minutes ago. 95.
Okay.
Actually.
I need to update my calendar then, because it showed it was 30 minutes ago for me.
At 1800 UTC.
Okay.
Yeah, and there is the Little Fish Google Calendar link, so that you can import it if you've got that, because I think it is updated.
Well, no, that's what I'm using.
Oh,
so MJ sent a Google form to collect emails, and then we're gonna send out email invites to everybody. So if you just fill in that form and select which of the meetings you want invites to, and then we're gonna send invites to everybody, and then we'll get the order updates.
Oh, but keep up. I mean, the Google Calendar. I'm gonna send the link right now. It's been great that's updated, and so I don't know who's keeping track of that, but it's been working great for me. And I think it navigated the time change well for me. I'm gonna put it into the chat. And
Maybe that's my problem. So I have this issue with, and then that's why I said I saw Lucas smiling. I have this issue with Gimbal Labs and Little Fish and everywhere else. It doesn't honor daylight savings time. So maybe that's my problem. But if it looks good for you, Newman, then there's something I'm doing wrong.
Check your settings in Google as far as like what your home time is. That might be this is one of those Tech Help Collective things, because it's one that we've, it's like I never really worked in an international, decentralized organization like this, and that time shift is a big deal, and calendaring is a big deal, because that's basically what we're talking about right now as far as like coordinating over time of a sprint action. In a way.
Oh, yeah. I see my problem. I found it. Sorry, guys.
Nice.
Just
we squashed it.
Newman's link that he shared, we'll set it to Pacific Standard Time with that.
Yeah. So that was actually what I found for me. For me was my Google Calendar is fine, but I have 6 Google calendars, 2 Proton calendars, and a few other calendars. And so I use a single calendar to represent all of them. And that does not honor daylight savings time. So even though Google's right, this master calendar is wrong. That's been my problem this entire time. And I just now discovered it. Thank you.
Your problem is that you have 6 calendars, mate.
Yeah.
See,
I got a
that is an
family
example of
calendar.
centralization. That's what happens when you centralize stuff.
I agree.
I just have 3. Now I have 1 public, 1 private, and 1, I don't even know. I was just trying things because Google Calendar is actually quite tricky if you want to publish things. So anyway, sorry.
No, go ahead.
On your collaboration, co-working, silent, everything, I just attached an image of this community. They literally have a channel called Working in Silence. So you go into a voice channel to work in silence. And yeah, it's on the bottom.
Yeah.
Nice.
Interesting.
Beautiful. Working.
Where is it?
Silence.
Where is the Working in Silence?
In Innovatio, I attached it and sent it to the chat.
Oh, right.
Oh yeah, they have co-working rooms. That's a really great idea.
There it is. That's what we're talking about. Okay.
Yeah,
so there you got like the different types of working together, working and talking, working in silence. Yes, perfect.
And then there's JP. He's from Latam. He's always there. There's sometimes they do this event, and he's just keeping the room open, just hanging out, saying hi.
Cool.
Nice.
All right. We can
right on.
That. Okay. I'll add those channels as well.
We got stuff done today. Thanks, Randall.
Thank you guys for staying 100 minutes. Thank you.
Can I just? Oh yeah, maybe let's stop the recording first. I wanted to show you something afterwards.